there is Kshirodakshay Vishnu. Kshirodakshay Vishnu expands himself. And not only into each and every universe, he is considered to be the Paramatma of the universe, but also Kshirodakshay Vishnu expands himself into each and every living entity's heart, and also into each and every atom, so that in order to sustain the whole universe, sustain the whole creation. So this Mahavishnu and Karnodakshay Vishnu and Kshirodakshay Vishnu, so they are called as partial incarnation. They are called as Purushas and they are called as partial incarnation. So they do not manifest all the features of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like for example, the Vishnu incarnations, it is said that the difference between Vishnu incarnations and the Krishna incarnation, Krishna has all the 64 qualities in full, and the Vishnu incarnation, they have 60 qualities in full. Also, Brahma Samhita, it explains that, of course, they have the same potency for sure. And Krishna, when he comes through Kshirodakshay Vishnu, it's not that, he comes, because he comes through Kshirodakshay Vishnu, he comes only with 60 qualities, he comes with all the 64 qualities. So in this way, they are interchangeable. But at the same time, therefore, Brahma Samhita gives this example. Like let us say, if there's a table full of candles, and there is one original candle which lights all other candles. So after all the candles are lit, is there any difference between the original candle and all the other candles? No, technically speaking, no. But at the same time, the original candle is original candle. So like that, Brahma Samhita gives an example. So in this way, so these are the partial incarnations which are there, and these are the Prabhava and Vaibhava incarnations. Now the qualitative incarnations are little different. Gunavataras are little different. Gunavataras in each and every universe, for like let us say our universe. So for maintenance and creation and annihilation of this universe, so there are so there are different personalities which do these services. So like in our universe, the creation work is done by Brahma. Now Brahma is a living entity, but he is empowered to do that. So Vishnu himself empowers him to do that. So that he is called as qualitative incarnation. And then Vishnu himself, he does the maintenance part. Kshirodakshay Vishnu himself, he does the maintenance part. And then the annihilation part is taken care of by Shiva. So he is called as, therefore he is called as, Shiva is himself in a tattva. He himself is a Rudra tattva. Like, and there are different tattvas: Vishnu tattva, Jiva tattva, Shakti tattva, and Rudra tattva. So Rudra tattva is neither Shakti tattva, it is neither Jiva tattva nor Vishnu tattva. It is in between. Like Vishnu tattva, we know that Krishna has 64 qualities, Vishnu has 60 qualities, and Rudra or Shiva, Shambhu tattva. Shambhu has 55 qualities, and the Jiva it can have a maximum of 50 qualities. So in this way, so these are the three qualitative incarnations, which expand from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they do their actions in that way. So Brahma is also called as a secondary creator. Of course, the primary creator is Vishnu himself, because from him comes Mahat Tattva. From him comes all the universes. From Mahat Tattva comes Pradhan, and from Pradhan comes all the universe. And from within the universe, Garbhodakshay Vishnu expands, and then from his navel comes Brahma, and Brahma starts creating the different planetary systems. Now it's quite clear that Brahma's birth happens from Garbhodakshay Vishnu's navel, which means that there is something before Brahma's creation, and therefore Vishnu is called as the primary creator and Brahma is called as the secondary creator, because the software is given by Vishnu himself. And then using that software, Brahmaji creates the whole 14 planetary systems. And therefore he is called as the secondary creator or the engineer, secondary creator. So, and then he creates all these different planetary systems. And then now after creation of this planetary system, there is someone who needs to maintain them. So that service is taken by Lord Vishnu himself, because Kshirodakshay Vishnu himself, because this part of maintenance is extremely difficult. Creation is easier relatively, and annihilation is easier relatively, but maintenance is the most difficult thing. So therefore, the most toughest part is taken care of by Kshirodakshay Vishnu, and then the annihilation part is taken care of by Rudra Shambhu. So he does the annihilation. So in this way, so these are the qualitative incarnations. So then we have Prabhava, we have Vaibhava, we have partial incarnations, and then we have qualitative incarnations. And then there is one other kind of incarnations which are mentioned here is Shaktyavesh avatars, or empowered incarnations. Now these empowered incarnations, when Lord Vishnu he comes, so when the universe is made and it is being maintained, so at different times there is a requirement of Supreme Personality of Godhead in order to do some particular activity. Like for example, the way Vedas have become extinct almost, because as Kali Yuga comes, there is no one who can remember the Vedic wisdom, and there is no one who can expound it to the common people in general. Like let us say we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, we might have heard it many times, many past times, but then we don't remember the shlokas for sure, and we don't remember verbatim. But in previous ages, people they were called as Ekasantagrahi. The once they hear, they remember it forever. So therefore, there is a need for someone to assimilate all the Vedic literature and reproduce it. And it cannot be an ordinary, but no ordinary personality can do such an extraordinary task. So Lord Vishnu himself comes as a Shakti Avatar, empowered incarnation. So he's empowered to write the Vedic literatures. So like that. So that is called as Shakti Avatar. So sometimes Lord may empower even a living entity to do this particular task of expounding some particular wisdom. So in these empowered incarnations, therefore Kumaras are also considered as empowered incarnations because they have been empowered to understand and expound the knowledge. Like Vedavyas has been empowered to write the knowledge, write the Vedic knowledge. Kumara, similarly, Narada is also considered one of the empowered incarnations. So these all they are empowered to distribute the devotional service in different ways. Prudu Maharaj is considered empowered. So Prudu Maharaj at his time there was a lot of irreligiosity. So Prudu Maharaj has come and he has been empowered to rule all the planets, rule the whole, rule the Matyaloka, rule the planet Earth in a way that there is order created everywhere. So he came and he made these countries and all this, which is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. So he made the markings and all this so that there is peace among people and properly it is done. So in this way, so this is called as empowered incarnations. And then apart from that, there is, as we were saying, it is not mentioned in this shloka. So, but as we were discussing, that there are childhood incarnations and boyhood incarnations, which means that, like, let us say Lord Krishna, he comes. So he has a different form when he's an adolescent. Like let us say he's the enjoyer of Srimati Radharani, he's the enjoyer of gopis. So he has a form, he has a threefold bending form, Tribanga Mohan Rupa, Sham Sundar Avatar, where he, like if we take darshan of Radha Madhav or Radha Sham Sundar. So, he stands in a threefold bending form and holding a flute, and it has. So that is called as and he takes pleasure from gopis and Radharani and all that. So that is called as adolescent form, Kaishora Murti. And then there is childhood incarnation, which is also called Balya Lila. So Balya, and then there is Pauganda Lila, and then there is a boyhood form. So in the childhood form, he gives pleasure to Mother Yashoda. She feeds milk to him, and he goes and he does the Damodar Lila. He breaks the butter pot and he feeds the monkeys, and Mother Yashoda is running after him, and he's running and he's fearful of Mother Yashoda, and Mother Yashoda, as she shows stick for beating him, he becomes so fearful, he starts trembling, his whole body starts trembling. So this is called as boyhood incarnation. And then there is childhood incarnation, wherein he is made pastimes with all the gopi friends, the gopas, wherein he is doing pastimes with all the gopas, different gopas, and different cohort boyfriends. So he is doing pastimes with them, and they consider him as their own friend, and they They stand over his shoulders and they do wrestling, and in this way he does all these pastimes with his Gopa friends. So that is boyhood incarnation. And then there is adolescence, which is Kaishwaramurti. So, in most of our temples we have this Krishna standing in the threefold bending form, holding a flute along with Srimati Radharani. So that is um, the Kaishwaramurti. So in this way, these are the different incarnations, which Krishna manifests, for the pleasure of his devotees and mainly for the pleasure of his devotees, and he also does many other purposes like Paritrana, Sadhana, Vinasha, Dharma Samsthapanadaya, Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. He gives pleasure to his devotees and he protects the righteous people, he punishes the miscreants. And similarly, whenever there is a decline, yada yada dharma siklane abhyudhanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamya. So whenever there is decline in religious principles or increase of irreligious principles, then Krishna descends when millennium after millennium. So in this way, Krishna does this, manifests himself in all these different pastimes, and gives pleasure to his devotees and maintains the religious principles like that. So these, so these Prabhava incarnations, like for example, so we have been just giving an overview that we'll discuss in brief each type of different incarnations also, and then we'll close it up. So Prabhava incarnations, as we were discussing, so Prabhava incarnations are those incarnations wherein the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself expands into different uh, in the same form, and the same potency, and so the other form is non-different from this form, but he expands so that he gives pleasure to all his devotees. Like for example, Krishna had married with Rukmini. Got married with Satyavama. He got married with Jambavati. He got married with Nagnajiti and all the 8 queens. And then later on, he got married with all the 16,100 queens who were under the captivity of Bhaumasur. So now Krishna having got married with all these different queens, so how will he able to give pleasure to all of them? Like let us say 16,100 queens. Like let us say if he doesn't expand himself, then so in order to meet one queen, let us say every day he's meeting one queen. How many days will it take for him to meet one queen? It's almost say no less than maybe 40 years or something like that. Maybe it's just 16,100 by 365. So that gives the value. It's a big amount. So therefore, but Krishna, he gives pleasure giver to everyone. So Narada Muni, he wants to go and check what Krishna is doing, how he's managing all these different queens. So Narada Muni goes to Rukmini's palace first, and then as and when he goes to Rukmini's palace, immediately Krishna is doing, Rukmini is doing Chamar for Krishna. And immediately Krishna comes, he welcomes Narad Muni and he says, "My dear Narad Muni, it's a great pleasure that you have come to my home. So please come, please be seated. And you are the greatest of the Brahmanas." Like that, he starts glorifying Narad Muni and he offers water. He does Abhishek of Narad Muni's lotus feet. And because Narad Muni is a Brahmana, and Narad Muni agrees because here Krishna is playing the role of a Kshatriya. So Narad Muni, he does Abhishek of Narad Muni's lotus feet, and then he takes the wash, the water from Narad Muni's lotus and sprinkles upon the heads of all his devotees, of all the family members, and then in this way he offers obeisance, and then he offers prasad and all that, and with great relish he talks very sweetly. And then Narad Muni is very happy. He goes to the next palace. And then he sees there that Krishna is playing chess with his queen. And then as and when they see Narada Muni, they immediately stand up, they come, welcome him, they make him sit. And similarly, Krishna, same Krishna, but he acted as if he didn't do anything before, as if he's seeing Narada Muni for first time on that particular day. He washed his feet and he sprinkled the foot wash on the heads of all the devotees of his family members, and then offered prasad and all that. Narada Muni goes to the third palace, and then there he sees that Krishna is talking. Krishna is arranging for marriage of his sons and daughters, and goes to the next. And then he's seeing that Krishna is discussing military strategy along with Uddhava. And then he goes to the next way. In the same way, Narada Muni goes to all the 16,100 palaces. And everywhere he sees Krishna is doing some other different activity. And everywhere Narada Muni is coming, Krishna is coming, welcoming him, making him sit, and offering him worship and offering him prasad. And Narada Muni is surprised, shocked. How is it that Krishna is, what kind of pastimes Krishna is doing? What kind of pastimes Krishna is doing? He is each and every personality. So in these different particular pastimes, we see that each and every personality is an independent personality. Like yogis, they can expand themselves into 8 forms maximum. But there are many limitations which they can perform. All 8 forms should be able to do one particular activity only. So like that, there are many limitations. Krishna, when he expands, like Krishna, when he expanded into during Brahma Vimohan Lila, when he expanded into different cohort boys, Brahma was totally confounded, surprised. He was such. There were no words for him to speak, because every cohort boy, he has same exact bodily facial features, and everyone is in Vishnu avatar incarnation. And everyone has his own bodily facial features, and so Krishna had expanded himself in such a way that that there was no doubt on any mother's mind or anything like that. So basically, Krishna has that potency to be able to expand into the. So when in Prabhava incarnation, so he expands himself into different forms, where all the different forms are non-different from exactly different from the similar to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, and at the same time they are independent personalities, and they do their pastimes like that. So this is Prabhava incarnation. And then there is Vaibhava incarnations, as we have been discussing. So Krishna is not different from Balaram, and Krishna's pastimes are exactly similar to, the only difference between Krishna and Balaram is their complexion, and but otherwise everything else, they are same. And so in this way, but however, their bodily and facial features are different. So similarly, Balram, he expands into Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Ruddha. And then later on, from Sankarshan comes the second quadruple expansion, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Ruddha. So, and then there's a description in Chaitanya Charitamrita as to how this Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So they have different features. So these four Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So these 4 different forms. I'm sorry. So there is this Vasudev. He has 4 hands. So he has 4 Shankar, Chakra, Gada, Padma. So he holds these 4 different Shankar, Chakra, Gada, Padma in different formats. So the total number of different formats which can be formed is 4 factorial, which is 4 into 3 into 2, that is 24 forms. So all these 24 different forms have each and every form has a particular name, and all these different forms have been named in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So all these these are all called as Vaibhava incarnations, where the form is different, and depending upon their facial features and their so all these the form is different, but the potency is similar, and they do their pastimes like that. So this is called as Vaibhava incarnation. And then after the Vaibhava incarnations, we have been discussing about partial incarnations. Partial incarnations includes the Purusha Avataras. Purusha Avataras, as we have been discussing, from the second quadruple expansion comes Mahavishnu. So Mahavishnu is the we can say the interface between the spiritual world and the material world. So from Mahavishnu's so from the spiritual world, all the Brahma Jyoti is expanding, and at the corner of Brahma Jyoti, there is one small corner, where which is filled with Mahat Tattva. So this Mahat Tattva, it is spiritual in nature. Mahatattva is spiritual in nature. And then from Mahatattva comes Pradhan. Now this Pradhan is called as material in nature. So Karnadaksha Vishnu, he comes and so from the Viraja river, which is there in the spiritual world, it comes into the material world. So Karnadaksha Vishnu, he is lying in that Garbhodaka ocean. So from that Garbhodaka ocean, from each and every pore of his body, emanates one particular universe. So in this Mahatattva, all these different universes are suspended within this Mahatattva. So and also the Garbhodaka ocean waters, they go into each and every particular universe. So for the each and every universe to remain suspended or to remain floating within this Garbhodaka ocean, so Mahavishnu expands himself into Garbhodaksha Vishnu into each and every particular universe. So the universe, the super soul of the universe is Garbhodaksha Vishnu, we can say. Able to conduct our activities and everything else, because there is super soul within our heart. And so similarly, each and every universe is able to be stable because there is Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So from Garbhodaksha Vishnu's navel comes, Brahmaji, and Brahmaji creates all the 14 planetary systems. And in order for all the different planetary systems and for the maintenance of the whole universe, so Garbhodaksha Vishnu expands himself into Kshirodaksha Vishnu. The Kshirodaksha Vishnu, from the Kshirodaksha Vishnu, actually all the incarnation, even when Krishna comes, he comes to Kshirodaksha Vishnu. Lord Chaitanya comes, he comes to Lord Ram comes, he comes to this Kshirodaksha Vishnu only. So in this way, so this Kshirodaksha Vishnu, he also expands into each and every living entity's heart, because the living entity, when he comes to this material world, he leaves the spiritual world and he's not conversant with the loss of this material world. So therefore, for the spirit soul to be able to be feel homely, and also at the same time, Kshirodaksha Vishnu wants to guide the spirit soul in a way that he goes back to spiritual world ultimately. So Kshirodaksha Vishnu expands himself into each and every living entity's heart in order to be able to guide Sarvasya Chaham Hridhi Sannivishtam Matta Smritir Jnanam Apohanam. So he gives Smriti, Jnanam and Apohanam. So he gives all these different Kshirodaksha Vishnu forms. They expand into the hearts of each and every living entity, and they give Smriti, Jnanam and Apohanam. And in this way, so these expands in this way. This is the and also Kshirodaksha Vishnu also expands into each and every atom, so that all the atoms are stable. So this is the function of the Kshirodaksha Vishnu. So these are the different Purusha incarnations, or they come under partial incarnations, and also from Kshirodaksha Vishnu, there are many Vishnus which come. So whenever Krishna comes, he is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whenever Lord Chaitanya comes, he is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, all other incarnations which come, they come through Kshirodaksha Vishnu, and their expansions of Kshirodaksha Vishnu, like Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Vamana, Narsingha, and all these different incarnations, they're all expansions of Kshirodaksha Vishnu. So they're all considered to be partial incarnations. And then there is Shaktyavesh Avatara. So the Lord Krishna, Vishnu, he expands, he empowers some different living entities to do a particular job. Like for example, when there is a scarcity of organization, and when there is scarcity of proper management within the universe, then Lord Vishnu has expanded within the planet here. Then Lord Vishnu has expanded into Maharaj Prudu. He empowered a living entity. So that is called as Shaktyavesh Avatar. Similarly, Vyasdev has been empowered to write Vedic literature. Kumaras have been empowered to do the job of expounding Jnana. Narada Muni has been empowered to expanding Bhakti. So in this way, different living entities are empowered, and they are called as Shaktyavesh Avatar. Now, the difference between, so there is a difference between a living entity being empowered to do a particular task, and living entity, he may do a living entity out of his purity or out of his qualification or whatever. he may do a great job. Like for example, Hanuman or someone, they may do a great job, great service, and they're considered as living entity only, and they're and Krishna, he is bestowing special mercy upon them and giving them empowerment, but they're not called as empowered incarnation. So when we say empowered incarnation, then the potency of Vishnu, it is bestowed upon the living entity, and he can do marvelous activities. Now empowerment can be given to any living entity as well, but they are not called as Shakti Like Prabhupada himself is an empowered personality, but we don't call him an empowered incarnation. So similarly, there may be many great devotees who are empowered personalities and who did great service for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but we don't call them empowered incarnations. Empowered incarnations only those which Krishna, that Vishnu potency, is empowered upon a living entity. Such a personality is called as empowered incarnation. So this is Shakti Aveshavasaras. And then there are Gunavataras, which we have been speaking about. They are called Brahma and Vishnu and Shiva. So for the sake of creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the universe. So Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, they are there at the. So as we were discussing, Brahma does creation, and he's the secondary creator. Primary creator is Mahavishnu himself. As we have been discussing that how from Garbhodaksha Vishnu, all the Mahatattva comes and all this. So that's how he's the secondary primary creator, and then Brahma, he does all the 14 planetary systems come. He creates all the 14 planetary systems. That is how it is. He's secondary creator. So Vishnu, he maintains them, Shirodaksha Vishnu. So therefore, he is the maintainer. And then annihilation. Now annihilation at the beginning of every Brahma's night, all the 11 planetary systems, 11 lower planetary systems, they get annihilated. And then they are made again at the beginning of the second day. I mean, it's at the beginning of the day of Brahma. And then again, so in this way, but the three higher planet systems, namely Brahma, Brahmaloka, Tapaloka, and Janaloka, they don't get annihilated. So but however, the whole universe is annihilated at the end of Brahma's lifetime. And all the living entities, they go back to Mahavishnu's womb. And then again, when the Brahma's new life starts, when the new universe expands, so all the living entities with their karmas, they get populated again. So in this way, that annihilation happens, partial annihilation happens at the end of each Brahma's day, and full annihilation happens at the end of Brahma's lifetime, like that. So these are the three qualitative incarnations. And then we also discussed about boyhood and childhood incarnations. Boyhood incarnations, like the sweet pastimes which are done, with the Mother Yashoda and all the senior elderly gopis. So that is called as boyhood incarnations. And then the childhood incarnations, Krishna does along with all his cohort boyfriends, and where Makhan Chor, Lila, and all these different pastimes. These are the childhood incarnations. So in this way, we have covered about 5-6 verses. I'll just read all the translations which we have covered, so that so we covered 65, 66, and then next verse says, Brahma Vishnu Shivati na Gunavatare Gani Satyavesha Sanakari Pudubhyasa Muni. So Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are qualitative incarnations. Empowered incarnations are those like the Kumaras, King Prudu, and Mahamuni Vyasa, or the compiler of the Vedas. Duyi Rupe Hoya Bhagava Nera Prakasha Eketa Prakasha Hoya Arete Vilasa. The personality of Godhead exhibits himself in two kinds of forms, Prakasha and Vilasa. Eka Eyi Vigrahaya Dihaya Bahurupa Akareta Vedana Eka Eiswarupa Mahishi Vivahe Eche Kaila Rasa Ihake Eka Hiye Krishnera Mukhya Prakasha. When the Supreme Personality of God, when the Personality of Godhead expands himself in many forms, all non-different in their features, as Lord Krishna did when he married 16,000 queens, and when he performed his rasa dance, such forms of the Lord are called manifested forms, or Prakash Vigraha. Chitram Bata. Chitram Bataita Dekena Bapusha Yugapata Prudak Griheshu dravyasta sahasram striya eka udavahat. Yeah, this is from Bhagavatam. Therefore, the meter is different. It is astounding that Lord Sri Krishna, who is one without a second, expanded himself in 16,000 similar forms to marry 16,000 queens in their respective homes. These are all Prakash forms, basically. रसोत्सव संप्रवृतो गोपीमण्डलमण्डित योगेश्वरेण कृष्णेन तासां मध्ये द्वयोद्वय. When Lord Krishna, surrounded by groups of cowherd girls, began the festivities of the Rasa dance, the Lord of all mystic powers placed himself between each two girls. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 10.33.3. प्रविष्टेन गृहीतानां कंठे स्वनिगतां स्त्रिया यं मन्येरन्नवस्थावद् विमानशतशङ्कुलं दिवौकाशं सदारानाम् अत्यौसुक्य ब्रात्मनां ततो दुन्दुभ्यो नेतुर्निपेतु पुष्पवृष्टया. When the cohort girls and Krishna thus joined together, each girl thought that Krishna was dearly embracing her alone. To behold this wonderful pastime of the Lords, the denizens of the heavens and their wives, all very eager to see the dance, flew in the sky in their hundreds of airplanes. They showered flowers and beat sweetly on drums. All these are Prakash incarnations. Anekatra prakatata rupasyaikasya aikada sarvata satsvarupayava sa prakasha itiryate. With numerous forms, all equivalent. Yeah, the definition. The definition is being defined here. If numerous forms, all equal in their features, are displayed simultaneously, such forms are called Prakash Vigraha of the Lord. This is from Laghu Bhagavatam. So the definition is very clear. Numerous forms, equal in their features, displayed simultaneously. And then the difference is with Vilasa. Vilasa Vigraha is defined here. Ekaye Vigraha kintu akare haye ana. Aneka Prakasha Haya Vilasa Taranama, but when the numerous forms are slightly different from one another, they are called Vilasa Vigrahas. When the Lord displays numerous forms with different features by his inconceivable potency, such forms are called Vilasa Vigraha. The definition is given here again. Examples: Aiche Baladeva Parabhyome Narayana, Aiche Vasudeva Pradyumnadi Sankarshana. Examples of such Vilasa Vigrahas: Baldev Narayan in Vaikuntha Dham and the Chaturvyuha Vasudeva Sankarshan Pradyumna and Aniruddha. Yeah, so till here we discussed. So till 78, yeah. So thank you very much. Yeah. So if there are some one or two questions, we'll take. Otherwise, we'll end it here. Or some comments are there. They're also most welcome.
Thank you, Broji. It was very informative, and especially the avatars part is very confusing. We are a little bit clear now. Still, by the future classes, we'll get more information, I will believe. Thank you very much. Within a very short time, you have prepared very nicely and explained it to all of us. Any other doubts or any comments you can ask now?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes,
No,
Prabhuji, the Vilasa, the last says that the Baladeva and Narayana in Vaikunta. So Baladeva, it is Narayana, Baladeva, both are in Vaikunta?
Sorry, I didn't get you. Can you repeat? Vilasa,
No,
yeah?
lastly, Vilasa Avtara, lastly, Prabhu explained that Baladeva and, for example, there is sloga explains that Baladeva and Narayana, it is in Vaikunta, it is in, means different, it's an example. How it is explained, Prabhu?
Yeah,
Can you repeat that one?
Basically, all these different, yeah, I got it. Examples of Narayana in Vaikuntha Dham and the Chaturvyuha Vasudeva Sankarshan Pradyumna and Aniruddha. Yeah. See, in this Vaikuntha Dham, we have been discussing about Purusha incarnations. So they are all within the Purusha incarnations are there within the material world, like Mahavishnu, Karanadaksha Vishnu, Kardaksha Vishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Kshirodaksha Vishnu. All these are within the material world. But Vilasa Vigrahas we see, like Baldev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, all these are in spiritual world. So when we say spiritual world, even Goloka Vrindavan, it is also in spiritual world. So they all can be considered as Vaikuntha Dhamas. Vaikuntha means everything which is there in spiritual world, which is called as Vaikuntha. So in this way, so now all the different planets which are there in the spiritual world, so all the different planets which are there in the spiritual world, they're all called, they all have, they may have different forms of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and so they are all called as Vilas Vigrahas because they have different facial features and different yeah. So there's the same personality of Godhead, but have different facial features in that way. Yes.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, Harish.
Oh, thank you. This is my understanding. Yeah.
Okay, Harish.
Yes. There is one Mataji, I believe, Manoharini.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavad pranams. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, actually, this Vilas Vigraha and Vaibhav Prakasha, this, I mean, how to understand that, Prabhuji? And also one more thing, the various avatars, no? The principal avatars, we call them as Dasavatars. So
Yeah.
Krishna, we know he is Swayam Bhagavan, and rest of the avatars, they are like what, partial incarnations, we could call them?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
they are part of Vaibhav Prakash?
Yes. See, each and every incarnation. Yeah. First question is by Vilas Vigrahas. Yeah. I'm sorry, I use the word Vaibhav throughout. I have to exactly see what is the definition of Vaibhav. But when we refer through Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is saying Vilas
Yes.
Vigraha. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Vaibhav incarnation, I have to again see. I thought it is Vaibhav, but the exact word which has been given is Vilasa. So, but there is also called as Vaibhav expansion. So I have to exactly see what is Vaibhav expansion. I'm not able to recollect it right now. So, but yeah, Prakash and Vilasa have been explained. So that is first thing. And second thing is, these Dasavataras and the many more incarnations as well. So all these incarnations, they have a planet in the spiritual world. Like Narsinga Dev, he has a planet in the spiritual world. Matsya Avatar, he has a planet in the spiritual world. Kurma Avatar, he has a planet in the spiritual world. Kalki, he has a planet in the spiritual world. All these different incarnations, they have planet in the spiritual world. But however, when they descend to the material world, they come through Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. So when so when they come to the material world through Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, so and then they do their pastimes in the material world. As my understanding goes, they're called as partial incarnations. But according to that particular verse, which we have just seen, when they are in the spiritual world in the Vaikuntha Dham, they have different facial features, and therefore they are Vilasa Vigrahas like that. This is my understanding.
Okay. So basic first thing, it starts with Prabhava Prakasha, is it? Exactly the same form of Krishna?
Yes.
And okay. So Krishna as such is no one is equal to him, right? So is there any name for him in this
He has
Sachidananda Vigraha? That's it?
Yeah, no, all these are Sachidananda Vigraha. They're not, you see, all these they're all qualitatively same. And they're all Sachidananda Vigraha, and they're all fully, they're, philosophically or qualitatively, they all have similar power. There is no difference. We were discussing the example from Brahma Samhita, like there is the original candle, and with the original candle, when all other candles are lit, there is no difference between the original candle and any other candle once they all are lit. This example is Brahma Samhita. So they are all Sachidananda Vigraha. What to speak of Supreme Personality? Even the Jivas are Sachidananda Vigraha. And but quantitatively we are different, but qualitatively all these Vishnu incarnations have similar qualitative power. But the number of, like Krishna, is special in the sense that his rasa is very sweet. Like there are 64 qualities which we are saying. What are the 4 qualities extra? His pastimes with his devotees are very sweet. And Rupa Madhuri, Lila Madhuri, his pastimes are very sweet. And then Parikara, the associates are very sweet. And then Venu Madhuri, he holds a flute. So these are the extra 4 qualities which Krishna possesses. But otherwise, all the 60 qualities are similar to like all other Vishnus, and their power is same. It's not that there is difference in power. So like that.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay, Prabhuji, thank you. So just to reconfirm my understanding, Prabhava Prakasha, then Vilas Prakasha, right? Different forms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, Prabhuji. Then the Purusha avatars, then the Gunavatar, Shakti Avesha avatars. That's how we.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Dandavad Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Yes. Anything else?
Kala Mataji, Kalai Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Why there is so many incarnations? Because of this, we Hindu ourselves have so many confusion. If example, if I go and tell somebody, our Hindu people itself, the Bhagavad Gita class is going on, let us learn about Bhagavan, but they are telling I'm the Sai Baba devotee. I'm believe in him only. I'm not that much eager in this and all, like that they are replying. So why there is so much confusions within ourselves?
Because there is variety, na? Like for example, if you're working with a company, it's not that only there is one CEO, right? There is CEO, and then there are directors, and then there are department heads, and there are area heads, and then there are common employees, and so many. How can one CEO? Of course, Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he gives service to many other people, so that everyone gets service and does their service. So like that. So similarly, there are devatas, who are department heads like Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu. They are all different devatas who are there for heading different departments, and then so many departments are there in this universe. So he gives opportunity for all the different devatas to do their service, and then he gives so Krishna himself expands into different kinds of incarnations so that he can reciprocate with the love of different kinds of his devotees. Some devotees, they love Krishna. They want to be they want to love Krishna without any tinge of awe and reverence. So therefore, Krishna reciprocates himself as Prema Purushottam. And then there are some devotees who wants to love Krishna with opulence. So therefore, so they are attracted to Narayana form and Vaikuntha forms. And if you go to, like, let us say Tirupati, if someone has gone to Tirupati or Srirangam, South India, beautiful temples. At the same time, he's worshipped with awe and opulence. But if you go to Vrindavan or Mayapur, Krishna is worshipped in a way as we worship him as in a home. So that is Goloka Vrindavan form. Vrindavan Krishna is like that. So in this way, so Krishna, according to the mood of his devotees, he reciprocates with them. So that is variety. So that is variety. So like if we go to say a joint family of, let us say, I'm just saying about the variety. There are many different brothers and sisters and different people who may reciprocate with different family members in different ways. It's not that there is only one person and he does everything. So like
Yes,
that, Krishna is like that. So that's how it is.
So whatever form we worship, finally we can get the ultimate result, liberation.
No, Krishna says very clearly in Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, Pitruni Yanti Pitrava, which says that, if those who worship Krishna, they go to Krishna. Those who worship forefathers, they go to the planet of forefathers. Those who worship Devatas, they go to the planet. Like, for example, if you want to go to Delhi, it's not that you take any ticket, you'll go to Delhi. If you take a ticket from Calcutta to Bombay, you'll go to Calcutta to Bombay. If you take a ticket from Calcutta to Chennai, you'll go from Calcutta to Chennai. It's not that any ticket anywhere you go from Calcutta to Delhi. No. So whichever ticket we take, from there we will go. So similarly, whomever we worship, that planet we go, like that.
Okay, Prabhuji. Why most of the demigods have two wives, while Balarama incarnation is insisting Egapatini Viradam, which is totally controversial.
Ram, not Balaram. Ram, yeah, Maryada.
Ram.
Ram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He comes especially for establishing the law. See, as far as having two wives is concerned, or many wives is concerned, so in Vedic times, it was the culture of
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I think the network issue.
Yeah, some issue with the project.
I'll come back.
Yes.
I'm
I
audible
can't
now?
hear.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So, yeah, the Vedic culture was in such a way that the number of women were outnumbering men. There were a lot more women than men. And, so therefore, so sometimes, men had more wives or something like that. So that, and then the wives were also, they were also keeping the women also happy. It's not that women were frustrated or something like that. So they were also happy in that way. So in this way, so that was allowed. In Vedic times, it was allowed that Kshatriyas, they can have more than one wife that was allowed. And so therefore, they were having more than one wife. But now in Kali Yuga, that is not recommended. It's not recommended in Kali Yuga because Kali Yuga, there are many things which are not recommended. One of them is that, having more than one wife, that is not recommended. So, so these principles which are there, they're according to time plus desh kal path, time plus circumstances. So in previous ages, it was so, the culture was in such a way that, one person, he can marry more wives or, so that allowance is there, and they used to take care of all of them. It's not that they were neglected or anything like that. So they were also happy, the wives were also happy, and person was also happy in that way. But in Kali Yuga, it's not allowed. So according to the rules of that particular age, that's how it is done. Yeah.
Thank you,
That's right.
Prabhuji. Very well explained. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Any other questions or any comments? Okay. Actually, our Sri Madhavdas Prabhu and some other devotees in Newtown Temple is suffering with corona, I heard. So we have to pray for all of them. And
Yeah. Kindly pray for our devotees. Some of them are having COVID.
Yes,
And of course, they're not kind of serious or anything like that. But yes, we do. Yeah, some of our devotees are having COVID. Yes.
you have to pray
Thank
for. And because of that, today we have a change in the speak. But within a very minimum time, Prabhuji prepared and explained all these verses to all of us. So you have to thank Prabhuji. Shivagana Prabhu, you can do official vote of thanks.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandat pranams. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for very wonderfully explaining. It's a very complicated subject, and it takes time for the devotees to understand also the expansions, incarnations, so many things. But you explained it very nicely, and thank you for giving your time to us, valuable time, and explaining that to us. Prabhuji said within short time, you have explained, prepared, and explained us. So we are all like to express our gratitude for giving your wonderful association to us today. So we'll all chant Hare Krishna Mantra 3 times, thanking Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Also, we'll pray for the devotees who have been affected with COVID. We'll pray to the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna so that they will quickly recover. So let us chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times for them also.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Bhagavan Prabhu, take care of yourself and ask
Stay safe.
also be away from all these affected devotees and take care of yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, bro. Thank you for giving me to speak about this. I'm very grateful to all of you.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. The Kodi Vaishnava ki jai.
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 Ki jai.
Jai.
Ananta Bhagavan Prabhu ki jai.
Ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Devotees. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ji.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Very much for all the assembled devotees for your association. We'll continue tomorrow. We have a Bhagavatam class.
So I can take leave?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning 9:30 we have Bhagavatam class, regular Saturday class, and evening we'll have 10th canto continuation. So please join us. So we'll conclude here. Thank you very much.